on, we can always or you can always visit the recording and still learn. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. So once I share my screen, maybe I'm not gonna see the participant list. So if you have any question, you can ask me. So WebEx meeting is good for a small number of participants, um, but for a high number of participants, WebEx event is much better. So I'm going to share my screen and start our workshop for today. Um, can any of you just confirm that whether you guys can hear me clearly and see my screen?
You're good.
Yeah, thank you. So I hope that all of you know the link of the conference. So if you visit the link, then you will have all the information of the workshop, where to find the workshop materials. So on the main homepage of the conference, if you click on the workshops, you'll find all the workshops that we are offering through this conference. And I'm conducting the first one, that is the introductory level, Intro to R. Um, and if you click on the GitHub links, so this will take you to the GitHub repository. Um, so if all of you could mute yourself, then yeah, it would be better. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is the GitHub repository, and I have given here all the necessary files and information. Um, so mostly, like, I created an RMD file. I will let you know what are the files here. And here in the link about, so if you click that link, you can visit this link directly. All the slides are down here. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to present through this slide and also through all the codes that I'm going to show you. Okay, so let's move on. Okay. So as I said, like, if you can visit the conference link, you will find all the links available, like the workshop link, the slides link, and the prerequisites. I already informed you guys before that you don't need to, like, have an experience in R, but please install R and R Studio so that you can go with me. Or right now we are having a 50 minutes workshop, so if you cannot do everything with me, it's fine, because you will have the video. You can always check back and try again later. So just before I start, a little bit about myself. I'm a fourth year PhD student in stat at University of Connecticut. um, the main research interest that I have been doing, um, mostly Bayesian survival data analysis and longitudinal data analysis. And also, I'm working on Bayesian model assessment and core data analysis. I'm also interested in machine learning and deep learning framework, especially in the field of survival data. And in the future, I really want to contribute to the biostatistics field through methodological development. So I do also have my personal website, so you can visit later on if you want to learn more about me. So let's go through the workshop prerequisites. As I said, having little to no experience is completely okay, because in this workshop, we're just going to give you some really pretty much basic stuff, so that uh, you know how to start with this programming languages and what this programming languages can do. Where should you start? How should you start? And the one thing that I might require, that you have the enthusiasm, you really want to learn this programming. So that is the only requirement. other things I don't need. So no experience is needed. So what are the aims of this workshop? First of all, like since I assume that most of you don't have uh, much experience using R, so I will let you know or teach you the basic functions, the syntax structure, data manipulation, and some real life data example. Um, I will I will also show you some of the useful library, and I will also introduce you with the IDE, which is RStudio, and some useful references. So just before I go further, sometimes on the virtual platform, the voice freezes, video freezes. So if you cannot listen to me, just let me know, speak out, then I will be able to know that you cannot hear me. Okay, so let's move on. We have a lot of things to do and we have very limited time. So these are the basics. So like I'm going to give you basic, some file system, which is really important. So if you're going to work with a programming language, you need to deal with the data set, which comes in the form of file and other structure. Reading the data, that is letting R know how to read your data and how you can also write data management. And there is a very useful tool or R package, dplyr, which is really very useful. I use it almost every day. So I will just I want to introduce you guys with this R package. So, as I said, since my assumption is that you are pretty new to R, so just a very, very brief intro, very brief. What is R? R is a free software. It's an environment for statistical computing in graphics. But nowadays, people from other disciplines also using R. Many of the textbooks are having an R version so that people can use it. People can do analysis using this software. Um, and this is just like other statistical analysis packages like SAS, SPSS. So if you're closely related to industry, you might know about SAS or heard about SAS. SPSS is also another software. Um, these all are pretty good for import, export, data manipulation, data analysis, and reporting. And some of the basic, prehistorical information. If you visit this website, this is the main our website, ourproject.org. So if you visit this website, you will learn or get to know a lot of details about R. And this slide, I really want to stress upon, because why should we learn R? Because there are many programming languages in the market, many softwares in the market. So the first thing that is free and open source, so you don't need to pay money, so you can use it. There is a very user-friendly IDE, so which is called RStudio. RStudio is pretty much helpful. I will briefly talk about RStudio in a few minutes. Uh, there's some nice feature of R over the last few years. It's called application development, R Shiny. Maybe many of you might be interested to present your work in an application. So basically, always we thought like application could be a very computer savvy things, maybe analytics people or statisticians, they might not have that ability to create an application. But R has created a very nice and easy platform to make application development. So if you just Google R Shiny, you will get some flavor. But for this workshop, we have limited space. So another nice feature. This is pretty new because if you were using R 5 years ago, maybe this circle I could not add, because nowadays Python, C programming, and many other languages can be integrated with R as well. Visualization is very advanced level in R, in computation with Python or other languages, or JavaScript also. It's pretty much compatible. It really doesn't matter which operating system you're using. You might be using Microsoft, Linux, or other operating system, iOS. it is compatible. And this thing, I maybe sometimes people underestimate that user community. Like if you are having some trouble while using this programming language, a community can help you. So they're a big resource of our users who always can help you without knowing each other as well. So these are the main reasons why should we learn R, or why I learned R. Uh, and IDE, this is integrated development in environment. So just if you have R installed, if you have R Studio installed, so R Studio is just more like a software, a framework. Many things are built in, so you might not need to code everything. Some of the things R Studio will give you just like an automated feature. So let's go through RStudio, because I always use RStudio. I would also encourage you guys to use RStudio. So once you click on the RStudio, I believe that you have RStudio downloaded. So I will show in a few moments. So RStudio has 4 panels. You can see that each of these are 4 panels. This one, this one, this one, this one. And if you look at my slide, so each panel has different name. The first one is called code editor. So we are going to write our code on this code editor. Then our environment will tell you like which packages or which data frames you have uploaded, what are the programs you run, many other things are preserved in the environment. Our console is the main area where you are going to run the codes, and you are going to see the results. And help files and graphs, these parts are useful if you are stuck somewhere, you will need some help from R. I will show you how to ask for help through R. And files and graphs, all of the things are preserved in this panel. So as you can see, I have many things loaded here for you. So not want to confuse you right now, but these are the four panels just I showed you a few minutes ago. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So we just talked about 10 to 15 minutes, just introduce what is R, what is R Studio, why should we learn R, what are the aspects of R. So we are going to start with a very, very basic thing. So like R as a calculator. So if you have a calculator, you're just going to use it, right? So let me show you a few details. Like if you write um, 5 plus 7, you will get calculation. I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So if you write 5 times 5, 25. If you want to calculate exponential of 2, just exp of 2. If you want to calculate log of 5, you can just type log. So why I'm just writing it very quickly? It's the reason that this is a high level language. So high level languages are very, very similar to our actual languages. So in mathematics, if you write exponential, just in the same way we code exp in R. The way you write log, the same way we write log. Similarly, the parenthesis also works very similar way. The first parenthesis will work first, then the second one, and this way. So you can always test how comfortable our is with our actual high level language. So that's why it's called high level language. So let's move on and show you some other interesting stuff. So it's very possible that the first time user, you might not know how to use a particular function. Again, you might not know which function to use, right? So basically, these 3 bullet points altogether can help us. Um, one thing, we can search directly the function. If we know the function, which function we want to search, we want to know, you can directly search the function. If you don't know a particular function, but you know something that you want to do, then you can use this function called help.search, and in the parenthesis with a quotation mark, just type the text you want to search. So then R will try to find that particular quotation text for you. So let me show you a little demonstration here. So like, for example, I really don't know how to use this main function in R. So if you type question mark means I don't know, and then the name of the function, mean, then it will give you a big panel where it will tell you that how to use this arithmetic mean. And one of the things that I really like about R is that even if you are a very new user, so you are the best example for this. Since you are a very new user, you might not know what are the things mean. So if you go down at the end of that documentation, you will see there are a few reproducible example. So if you really don't understand anything, just copy those reproducible example and paste it in the R console, and then you will get some answer. And then you can play around. So what are the arguments we have? Why these arguments are used? For example, if you type mean and then use a parenthesis, and I cannot show my keyboard, but in your keyboard, if you type tab, then tab will allow you what are the arguments it has. So it will give you the options, which arguments you can use and what arguments should you use for. And if you forget why should you use it, just give the question mark and that function name. It will take you to that particular documentation. Okay. And also what I said, like if you don't know uh, what is the function, so again you can see that I'm just typing help dot, and it is actually guiding me what are the functions we have. Okay, so like help dot search, so I don't need to type everything, so I just typed help. Then if I type help dot search, and if you don't understand what you are going to search, then just tab, it will allow you what kind of search you want to do. So for example, if you write linear regression, then on the search, it might take some time because it will go through the R documentation, and it will try to go through this quotation text wherever it finds. Like you can see on the right panel, linear regression, wherever it finds, it will go and help. Okay, so um, this part is really helpful in sometimes when you really don't know what to do, but you know some text, you know some helpful text, and you try to search with that text. And other thing, I think everyone knows, just go to Google and just try to search something. Just write something, whatever you are not understanding, how to do mean of a number in R. So you will find something. So Google and Stack Overflow, these are very good resources for community help perspective. So let's move on. So now I'm going to show you how we can assign values in R. So R works in this way. The other softwares also works different way, like MATLAB. It works like a mathematical library. Everything should be in a matrix form. But just consider X is something called we call a variable, and you want to assign some values or text or whatever in that variable. Then how you can do this? So there are pretty much many ways of doing that, like less than and hyphen sign, equal sign, hyphen or greater sign. These are the signs that are used for assigning values in R. So for example, if I type then this 5 value is stored in X. So if you type X, it will give you the value of 5. Okay. So let me zoom in a little bit. So not always it only can store the numerical values. It can also store text. So if you type like hello world, and then if you type X, it has already stored X value as a hello world. So these are some basic ways assigning operators to a particular variable. Okay, so these are the few basic things then you need to know. Like you cannot always play with the software just like a calculator. So this is more superior than a calculator. Not only just a small calculator, it can do many things. So assigning values to a particular variable is really very important. So let's move on and just try to show you that we don't need to assign only one values to the variable. You can assign multiple values. You can assign many values. So one of the ways to assign or combine the values is called this C function. This should not be called a function, but this is the structure how we create the vectors. We call a vector. Vector is a list of numbers or list of object which are combined together into one assigned operator. So for example, if I type X less than hyphen and then C means combine, and what are the things you want to combine? So these three things you want to combine. So if you type X, then you can see that these three values you have assigned inside X. Now the question is, if you want to go to different locations of X, you can type X third bracket, or which parenthesis you want to call it. Just uh, so if you type 1, then it goes to the first position. If you type 2, it goes to second position. If you type 3, then it goes to third position. So these are called the positioning, the ordering, or the location of those assigned values inside our variable. And also, if you want to see the first two elements, not the third element, then you can type this colon. This colon sign is really useful in R. It says if you don't assign anything, it will just count 1, 2, 3, 4 up to that number. Okay. So for instance, if I type 1 to 3, then it goes to 1 to 3. Okay. So these are the very basics that I showed you. Some of the interesting stuff which I kept in the slide. Maybe I don't need to do everything or explain everything. You can always try with these examples, but just to show you what are the logical operators in R. So, for example, the x1 is the value is 5. So if sometimes you know this value, but it is possible that you are working with variable where you really don't know what that the first value is, and you want to see whether it is less than 10. If you type less than 10, so it will understand you are asking R whether it is true or false. So it will give you true. Okay. So these are the few interesting things you can always play with. And if you don't know, just Google it. You'll find something. So let's move on and give you some bunch of interesting and important functions that are heavily used. So I think we talked about 25 minutes. Just want to verify. Can one of you just confirm you can hear me clearly till now? No problem.
I can hear you.
Yeah, that's great.
Very good.
Thank you so much. So these are some useful function. I know I might not have enough time to show you all of this function. I wish I could have. So if I had like 3 hours workshop, I would just give you all the details of these examples of this function. But you may always want to revisit these slides and try to understand these functions. Each of these function has different character, different style, different usefulness. So for instance, just want to give you one example with replication. So this ref function, as I told you earlier, that R is a high-level language, so its functions are pretty much just like our daily life, languages. So from replication, it is rep. So it will replicate. So replicate function is really useful, and it's a wonderful function. So as I already told you that if I have combined 1, 2, 3, that means it's going to be a vector 1 to 3. So now if you want to write something like 1 to 3, 1 to 3, I want this twice. I want this to repeat 2 times. Then this ref function, repetition, the first thing it says, what do you want to repeat? So this you want to repeat. Times means this whole thing 2 times. So times 2. So this will give you 1 to 3, 1 to 3. So now sometimes it is possible that you may not want to repeat this way. You want to repeat like 1 twice, 2 twice, 3 twice. So each equal to 2. So this is a very, very useful function, and I'm pretty sure when you will use this for your purpose, you will definitely benefit from this function. There are other interesting functions. Just use question mark and enter the function in our console, and you will get some flavor of the usefulness of that function. There are some other functions I just categorized into different slide. These are mostly important for ordering and subsetting of the numbers or variables. I will show through one quiz example. So last year we had some a little bit more time, slightly, so I could ask the participant try this, but we have very limited time. So this is a quiz example. Just try to visualize so what you have learned so far. So I told you how to combine numbers into a vector, how to assign a vector into a variable, then these are the information that I want to calculate, like length of this vector. That means how many elements we have inside this vector. What are the unique values? So if you are really interested, I just want the unique values, not the duplicated ones. I want these values to be sorted out. So if you are an Excel user, you might always use filter or sort many, many times. You might want to, see the frequency distribution, which number came how many times, which number came once or twice or many, many times. So let's go through this simple example. So the first thing, as I told you already, that C is used for combining purpose, and the numbers you will write, it will combine together into the assigned variable. So then if you type X, then you will see that 3, 3, 5, 5, 10, 20. So these are the numbers you have stored. Then if you want to learn how many numbers you have, so this is very simple. You have only six numbers. But if you have 6,000 or 600 or 500, then it's going to be impossible for you to know how many numbers you have. You cannot count through your eyes. So then if you type length, as I said, this is a high level language. So just type length and type X, you'll see that there are 6 numbers. If you type unique, the same word that we used in our text, unique, and then if you type X, now you can see we typed 3 twice, 5 twice, but those were not unique. So it is only giving me the unique numbers 3, 5, 10, and 20. Luckily, this numbers are ordered or sorted. So that's why if you sort, it already gives you the sorted numbers. Now, if you use the table function, it will give you the frequency distribution. So the frequency distribution comes like this. The first row are the numbers. The second row are the number of frequencies it has. Okay. So these are a few interesting tips and functions that I just wanted to give you some interesting flavor. Um, Obviously, I do have the answers of this quiz. So this is nothing to test you. So this is just to give you the interest, how and what are the interesting problems you can have. So just a little detail about our data structure, because so far what I have talked, this is very, very basic stuff. What are the operators, how you should store number, and the one thing which is not very, very basic, like these functions. These functions are very, very useful. You might use it many, many times if you start using our software. So this slide, I don't want to spend many times. Uh, it just tell you that R can handle many types of variables. It can be numeric, it can be character variable, it can be logical variable. You might want to deal with a data frame. You might want to deal with metrics, many, many things. So all these things can be done using R. So to give you a flavor of the data structure, I'm going to tell you what type of data structure we have. Okay. So the first two things we have is called vector and list. So vector you already know, so I don't want to spend time on that. So vector you already know. List is a little bit different. So list is something, the list you know, right? So like I have a list of your participant name and their email address and other things. So this is a kind of list. So list combines many information from different sources. So let me give you one example of list. So like this is a list. So list, as I said, the list is a function. So the same way we are talking or terming list. And then list, what does it do? It lists multiple vectors or multiple numbers or characters. It can list many things, just the way we list in Excel file. Somewhere we have numbers, somewhere we have name, some email address, many things. So if you type X, then you can see it comes in a different way. The first list, it will give you 1, 2. The second list, 5, 8, 9. So a good thing about list is that it can list numeric number. You can also list the characters together also. So these are a few interesting things. And the location of list is a little bit different than vector because you can see here there are double parentheses. So double parentheses tell you that this is a list. This is not a vector. Okay. So these are a few things. So like if you go through this example, you'll get some idea. So what is an array? Array is something which is more than one dimension. So like vector is always comes with one dimension. So you have one dimension. For example, your list. I have one dimension of your first name. But if I have your first name, your last name, your email address, so I have 3 columns. So I have multiple dimension. So this array is helpful if you really want to deal with the multiple dimension data set. And it has 2 arguments, like it asks you, give me the numbers, and then it has one argument called dim or dim, whatever way you pronounce it, is the dimension. So dimension tell you how many rows, how many columns you have in your array. So one good thing in array is that it can go beyond many dimension, like 3 rows, 2 columns, and then another axis, 2z, so x, y, z, many dimension you can deal with. But matrix is pretty much simple, like 1 to 2 dimension. Okay, so I have this reproducible example here. So if you just use the matrix function, and then it give you if you give r that I have the numbers 1 through 6. So I already showed you that if you type 1 through 6, it will start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then if you type n row, so what it will do, it will arrange the numbers in 2 rows. Okay. So these are few basic things. And I have one example, like quiz example. you can you can just visualize, just think about it. This would be enough about solving this problem. So you have 2 matrices. So the first thing, type this matrices. So what you would do, so A, you will use the function matrix, then type the vector combine 1, 2, 3, 4, and then write how many rows it has. It has 2 rows. So these are the way like you can do A and B. So these example I kept here only for those who has a little bit mathematical background. Otherwise, just forget about this example. And if you're from a little bit math background, then you can play with this example. So my goal was to I give you some example of matrix. So whether you can use the matrix or not. Okay. So let's skip that. So now I'm just going to give you some idea about our function. So how these functions are used. So as we have used main function, we have used list function. So these are the some function. If you want to create your own function, you can also do that in R. So the basic structure is that function starts with the function uh, uh, and then some arguments, which arguments you want to use, and two curly braces inside which you are going to discuss your function. Okay. So I have here a very, very tiny, simple function for you just to, understand the logic, how it works. So I name my function as find ABS. So ABS means absolute value. And as I have used function, in my parentheses, I have one argument called x. And if x is greater than 0, then give me x or give me -1. So the point here, I really want to have the positive numbers. If there is any negative numbers, I want to get minus of that value. So you just input that value. If it is greater than 0, it will give you that value. If it is not, then it will give you times minus of that value. Okay. So Uh, I have another example, but I think I don't have much time to explain this. So this is an example where I want you guys to try whether you can write a function. You will give some x value, you will give some y value, and it will give you x to the power y value. So say x is 2, y is 3, and you want to get x to the power 3. So we have only 13 minutes, so let's skip that example also, but these are all inside the slide, and you can always revisit this video. You can always try later on, right? So there is one or two slide I kept just to understand, give you some hint about loop and conditioning. So loop means like you repeat certain things, you go from 1 to 3 and other locations repeatedly. So there are two, or there are more, not two, but two basic functions that we usually use. One is called for loop. The other one is called a while loop. So for means you assign that you run the loop from 1 to 5, and while is somewhere important or necessary sometimes if you want to continue the loop until certain condition. So while is used for that purpose. Like here, I am running the loop from 1 to 5 and printing those indexes. So while on the other hand, I'm not telling him that or that run 1 to 5. I'm telling, so start with 1 and add every one value and stop whenever you have the 5 value. So these are the few looping functions which are really useful. And this slide, I would request all of you guys, if you are very new to R, you definitely need that. So you might want to investigate whether some value is less than or greater than or less than equal to or greater than equal to not equal to. These are our operation, and these are the syntaxes that are used in R. Okay, so there are subtle differences. Although it's a high level language, but it cannot write equal and then cross. Okay, so if you write exclamatory sign and then equal, it will understand you are telling him do not equal thing. Okay. So a very, very tiny example because we don't have much time. So just want to give you a little bit brief understanding. So if and else, I think even if you don't do programming, you we always do conditioning, right? So if certain condition met, do this. If certain condition not met, do another thing. So this is the way we have two example. I really want you guys to, after our workshop, just copy this code and paste it in your R console and see what are the things you have, and try to make justification why I'm getting this result and how I'm getting this result. So this example I'm also skipping. So this is the next part. I really want to spend around 10 minutes. We have only 10 minutes. So these are the few codes that you might need always. So like you visit Google, that you want to do certain things. You want to do regression. You want to do sports analysis. You want to do sports scraping, and you need certain package. So how to install that package? So this install dot packages, this code is really useful to install a package. So once you write like once you write install dot packages, and then on the quotation mark, if you write down the name of the package and then press enter. So I have already installed that package. That's why it's asking me whether you have to restart again. So it will just install in few seconds. And once you are done with installing, you will not be able to use it unless you library it. Library means loading the package into your computer. So installing means calling the package from R, and library means storing and loading the package into your R console, and only then you can use it. Okay. So these are the two functions you might want to play with. And also sometimes, some of the online platform or textbook, you will see that inside a certain package, there are many data, but you really don't know which data you want to use. So like I already have this package installed. So then if I type data inside the package layman, then it will give me all the data set that are hidden inside, or not hidden, that are included within this package. So this package is also interesting. It has some sports data sets, and then some of the codes and functions I want to introduce, because we don't have that level of time. Maybe 3 hours workshop would be really very helpful. So these are the functions you really want to stress upon, and these are very simple function. Just go type this function, use question mark, and then write read.table, and then just follow the documentation. And these I'm sure you will very love it when you will see these functions, because the documentations are pretty much impressive and very simple. Um, let's let me show you a few of the examples I have using some of the functions. Since this whole slide I'm showing you, honestly, this is also created in R. So that's why the codes you can see, these are the exact same view. When you will run the code inside R, you will have the same view as I'm showing you in this slide, because this slide is also created using R. So I use a dataset betting, and at first, whenever you have a data, the first thing you want to know that what are the structure of the data, what do we have inside the data. So this is structure function, short form of structure, str, will give you all the variables you have, and what are the types of those variable, whether it's a categorical variable, whether it's a string variable, whether it's a numerical variable. It will give you all the information inside this structure function. Then this function is also interesting. So since we don't, this data is not our main priority. Our priority are our basics. So if you want to learn more about the data set, just click this link whenever you'll follow this slide. So this link has all the details of this data set, like each variable, what does it mean. So this function is really interesting. So if you have a big data set, um, many rows, but you want to see only few rows, just like a snapshot. So head means the snapshot. So the head of the data, the first few rows of the data set. So as you can see, it is showing me 6 rows. You may also specify like how many rows you want to see. And also, if your data set is very big, like 10 columns, hundreds of columns, and but you want to see only a few columns, like 3 or 4 or 5, so you can specify like which columns you want to see. So as I said, excuse me, as I said, like this is just like a data frame. It has 2 dimension, right? It has rows, it has columns. So this comma, it helps R to understand that you are only specifying the columns, not the rows. So if you specify the columns, it will go and find those columns and give you all those rows. Okay. Then these are the few interesting thing. I think if I can introduce you with all these basics, you can independently work with R. So like inside batting, there are many variables, many columns, just like an Excel file. It has different column name, right? So in R, the data frame, you can call those names using this dollar sign. So this dollar sign helps R to understand that inside this data frame, you have this name variable, that name variable. And if you want to see particularly that row, then you can also specify, just like you wrote 1 through 4, you can also type like that variable name in a quotation mark. It will give you exactly that column of that player ID. And then few other details like uh, I want to show, yeah. So that example is also interesting. Um, like we have in our data set, we have year information, but we want to see only 1871 data only. So in the data, inside the big parenthesis, if you type that batting $year ID, equal to 1871. So it will go through each row of the data frame and only select those row which has 1871 data set. Other rows, it will not show you. So other examples, I'm not going to discuss. You can just visit and play with this example. These are very a simple type of example, but once you play, you will get the actual flavor how it works. But this double equal sign, if you remember in few slides back, I told you like not equal, $ equal, greater equal, greater than equal sign. So these are the way R understand. So if you are asking R, understand that I'm telling you, find out where the year ID is exactly 1871. Then you have to use the double equal sign. Um, So we don't have much time, but I have another package called dplyr. So from the dplyr package, I'm going to show you one example so that you can learn that it has many features, so which you can later explore anytime. Inside the same package, we have a data called salaries. So this salaries data gives you different time period and different player identity and their salary. So this is the head of the data, as I already showed you. And then it tries to, if I want to do, if I want to see and only select only few variables instead of the whole data, then this uh, operator, percentage greater than percentage, this operator is really interesting. And this takes into account the salary data and then use this select function. So select function already knows that is coming from this data set. So then player ID is a column of salaries data. Year ID is also a column of salaries data. So these are some smart feature of R. This dplyr is a very high level package. So if you just get some of the grasp, it would be great. Like I think it would be great. So there is another function I just want to stress upon. So I gave you example of two data set. The first one is betting. The second one is salaries. And there, these are information coming from the same individual, same player. So if you want to combine these two data set, this left join, right join, or full join, these functions are really very useful. So I have one example in my slide. You can play with this, and I don't think I have time for uh, uh, another quiz example, but just want to show you another function. This is called filter. So filter, if you are familiar with Microsoft Excel, so Excel also has filter feature. You can click on filter and filter out different things and keep only those things which are really important to you. Okay, so all right, so our timing is very limited. Already reached to 150. Uh, so these are the few resources I just want to give you. If you are interested, go visit those resources and revisit this whole slide. You might also have the video. You can always play with these examples. And good luck with coding with R. R is really interesting and very simple. And I have my email address here, and you can also like visit that website, the conference website, to know about us, to learn about us, and yeah, hopefully uh, this would be pretty much helpful. So our time is totally finished, but I would not say goodbye. But if you have any questions, you can ask, and you can unmute yourself, and you may, if you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, sure. Martin, you have a question? Yeah, you can unmute and ask directly if you want. No, it is. So Martin asked a very good question. Like, is it necessary to, memorize every single code? Actually, no. So as I showed you that even if you forgot, just give question mark and then just type few part of the function. So you don't need to memorize some things like the C combining vector matrix. These are the few codes, only few basic codes. If you can memorize, this will save your time. But also, it's not necessary. Even if you don't memorize, you can deal with everything. It's all right. You can forget codes. I also forget codes. I always have to search in Google to okay, so I forget this stuff, how to do regression, how to combine two data sets. So it's completely okay. The more you will do, you will feel more confident with this language, and more functions will be stored in your brain. Yeah, but it's completely okay to forget. Yeah, if you have any, okay, bye, Martin. Any question, we can still discuss. Few minutes.
Hi.
Hi, Jared. Yeah,
Hi. Should I call you Mr.
you can call me Tuhin.
Tuhin? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for the workshop today. Um,
you're welcome. Mhm.
I have a little bit of experience with MATLAB,
Okay.
and at least from the surface, both of these kind of look similar,
Yeah,
with like a little differences with like the functions and everything. But I was
right.
wondering what the differences between the two would be, and I
So,
guess as a
mhm.
whole, like with languages in general, like what makes them distinct from one another.
Yeah, so one of the major difference between R and MATLAB, so the name MATLAB, it comes from like metrics. It consider everything from a metrics point of view. Even if you write a vector, it will consider it's a matrix of one by certain columns. So other than that, like R has uh, more comfort zone in terms of variable categories. But I should not compare R and MATLAB in this way, because MATLAB is also very user friendly. So if you are very comfortable with MATLAB, I'm pretty sure if you spend few weeks with R, you will be able to have the same efficiency as you have in MATLAB. So few things that I really find um, are more helpful is the error directory. Like if you do certain errors, R will be very, very specific that you have certain line, certain function where you are having some error or you are missing something. So MATLAB's error directory is, I think, uh, I would recommend R in that case. But MATLAB has some other advantages, like it has a good memory. If you are dealing with a very, very big data set, MATLAB might not have any memory problem, but R might tell you that I cannot allocate that much memory in dealing with this data set. But from other perspective, like the parenthesis, if you remember, like I wrote combined 1, 5, 6 like this. But in MATLAB, everything comes in this third bracket parenthesis. Like it consider everything from matrix point of view. So this is sometimes advantageous, sometimes not. And MATLAB has some other positive aspects like engineering, image processing. Those kind of fields are more, have resources in MATLAB. Are still are not that much resourceful in terms of medical imaging, image processing for some part of the engineering works. But I might not say that because I'm R user. I like R. I find it more comfortable. And another thing I would say, like the documentation are very reproducible in R. Like if you go to the documentation of R, it will give you very, very tiny, simple example, and you can always reproduce those example in your R console. Yeah, but I would recommend if you are very good with MATLAB, if you spend few weeks with R basics, I think you will have similar efficiency in R as well. Maybe you will like R as well. Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
no problem. Yeah. Okay, so if anybody doesn't have any more question, then I'm going to stop the recording and okay, so stop it. So once I stop it,